Hello, everyone. I am Founding Father Benjamin Franklin, and welcome to the Step Up America Foundation podcast. Join us every Tuesday, Wednesday, and Thursday at 2:30 p.m. Eastern Standard Time as we celebrate incredible Americans from all walks of life. You may hear from a NASA astronaut, a professional or amateur athlete, a musician, and of course, current and past military heroes, just to name a few. And who knows, you might even learn a thing or two along the way. Well, that's enough from me. Let me introduce you to our hosts, John McIntosh, Mark Renahan, and Adrian Garcia. Take it away, team!
Welcome to the Thursday edition of the Step Up America podcast. I am back in the chair. It feels good. We were gone in South Carolina, so I didn't have the opportunity. And Wednesday, I don't know. All these days are bleeding together here, but I had to take my beautiful daughter. I had to pick her up from school, so I did it remotely via the car. But it's nice to be back alongside one of my co-hosts, Mr. Adrian Garcia. How are you, buddy?
I'm doing great, John. Pretty excited for today's Sergeant Major's Corner. Seems like a pretty interesting topic, which kind of leads into one of the lessons that we did today to one of our repeat classes. So looking forward to it.
Yeah, no, we have two very distinguished guests, but before I get to those two guests, I want to say hello to Noah, our engineer. How are you, sir?
I'm doing good.
Excellent. So, without further ado, today is, as always, Thursday, which means we have Sergeant Major's Corner with Sergeant Major Johnny Myers. How are you, sir?
Doing fantastic. Adrian, Noah, Ben, John, how are you?
We're doing great.
Doing good here.
Well, I'll tell you what, I didn't introduce him yet since you already said hello to him. You want to introduce our super special guest who was on the air with us yesterday?
It is great to be back.
Or you can just jump in.
John,
I
wasn't sure what you were doing. I wasn't sure.
Well,
I thought you would maybe introduce me to Sergeant Major, John. I've heard such great things.
Well, if you'd give me a second. I know you're the star of the show, but just hold your breath, man, Ben. I know you're a man of many words, and you were a great orator, and you are just full of knowledge. So, Ben, I would like you to meet Sergeant Major Johnny Myers.
Sergeant Major, it's a pleasure to meet you. I must tell you that I was once friends with a General George Washington, the first general of our Continental Army. So it is a pleasure to meet one of his, who followed in his footsteps, I should say, later on in life. It is great to have you with us today.
Well, thank you very much, and I hope you can share some of the knowledge that General Washington and you all discussed during the Continental Congress and some of the things that led up to it.
Absolutely.
Well, but
I know. Oh, sorry, John.
no,
you go right
that's
ahead.
okay. I was gonna brag on you, Ben, because you were in the classroom up in Escambia County today, teaching Miss Shiflett's students, I believe, third graders. So how did that go for you?
It went fantastic. I had such a good time today. Adrian joined me. You were not there today. I know we wish you could have been with us, but we had a blast. Adrian and I, we did the good citizenship game. Ben got a ton of really fun questions, and overall, it was just a great day, and the kids really seemed to be happy to see Ben again. So we had a really good time, and we hope to get back into more and more of those classes.
Oh, excellent. So before I hand it over to Sergeant Major for Sergeant Major's Corner, because he's got, I think, three pretty pressing questions that's going to be part of a 2 or 3 part series regarding the Bill of Rights. The reason why we're having you on, Ben, is sometimes we overlook ourselves and we don't advertise what it is we do here at the Foundation. And that is the Franklin Project, amongst other things. But the Franklin Project is our pride and joy. And as you can see, Ben Franklin, here on the show with us today, goes into the classrooms and teaches a myriad of subjects to our youngsters regarding U.S. history and civics. And Ben does it at no cost to the educators, which is super cool. And I'm going to turn it over to Sergeant Myers real quick. And at the end of the show, we'll let our educators know how they can get in touch with Ben and the team here at Step Up America Foundation, Inc., and get them scheduled for one of your classrooms. So, Sergeant Major Myers, it's all you, sir.
Well, thank you very much, John. Greatly appreciate it. And Ben, I know you were involved with a lot of the origin of our Constitution, and would like to ask you some questions today about our Bill of Rights.
Absolutely, sir. And I would love to answer them.
All righty. Well, one of the first ones I have, Ben, and do you mind me calling you Ben or Mr. Franklin?
I would appreciate it if you called me Ben, Sergeant Major. I feel that, if we're going to be here and you're talking to me, we're on a one-on-one basis. Is much better.
Okay. If you could, because a lot of our listeners have heard of the U.S. Constitution and they've heard of the Bill of Rights, but could you explain what the Bill of Rights actually is?
I would love to, Sergeant Major. Now, many of the rights and liberties that we as Americans cherish, such as our freedom of speech or religion, due process of law, were not included in the original Constitution that I helped draft at the Philadelphia Convention in 1787. But they were included in the first 10 amendments that we call the Bill of Rights. So as you asked, what is the Bill of Rights? Well, the Bill of Rights is the first 10 amendments to the United States Constitution. Now, these amendments guarantee essential rights and civil liberties, such as the right to free speech, the right to bear arms, as well as reserving rights to the people in the states. Now, the Bill of Rights has its own fascinating story as a distinct historical document, drafted separately from the 7 articles that form the body of the Constitution. But ever since the first 10 amendments were ratified in 1791, the Bill of Rights has also been an integral part of our Constitution. And Sergeant Major, I'll tell you something else. It's also an integral part of the Step Up America teaching program. And I know John loves to teach about the Bill of Rights.
Yeah, that is one of our most popular lessons, Sergeant Major, is actually the Constitution and Bill of Rights, where we actually delve into each one of the amendments, the first 10 amendments to the Constitution. And it's a powerful document that I think people really need to grasp and understand in this country, because if you don't know what your freedoms are, how can you protect them? And it just doesn't make sense to me that us as U.S. citizens aren't engaged in that just magical document that followed the U.S. Constitution. So, yep, that's one of our most popular lessons we teach.
And speaking of the Bill of Rights, John, in today's lesson that we did in Escambia County, we went over good citizenship. One of the amendments that we go over is the First Amendment, and, overall, why it's so important for us as citizens to understand what freedoms are afforded to us, why it's so important for us to understand our rights, and really how to exercise them in the right way to make a positive change for the better.
No, I couldn't agree more. And you know what's amazing, Sergeant Major Myers, is we'll ask adults when we're at events if they can name the 5 freedoms protected in the First Amendment. And I would say 90%, 95% of adults that we speak with are unable to name the 5 freedoms protected in the very First Amendment to the Constitution, which is all the more reason to get the Franklin Project into your classroom.
Oh, yeah.
So we can bring these youngsters up so they have a understanding and a basic knowledge of these incredible documents. So I rambled enough. I'm surprised you weren't tapping your foot yet, Ben.
I would never do such a thing, John.
Okay.
I'm ready for the next question. Sorry, Sergeant Major. Go right ahead, sir.
Next question. Okay, that's what I was going to ask you. Did you want to elaborate further?
No, I'm going to John finished it off nicely, I feel.
Okay, outstanding. Okay, the next question is, why wasn't the Bill of Rights included in the original Constitution?
Oh, well, Sergeant Major, I have a little bit of a longer answer here, so I will give it to you. But so towards the end of the Constitutional Convention, which of course was held in 1787, George Mason, who was a delegate from Virginia, proposed adding the Bill of Rights, which would, he argued, give great quiet to the people and might be prepared in a few hours. Now, the state delegations unanimously rejected Mason's proposal. Some delegates reasoned that a federal Bill of Rights was unnecessary because most states already had that and guaranteed rights. Others said that outlining certain rights would imply that those were the only rights reserved for the people. However, a historian named Richard Beeman came forward and pointed out a much more better reason the delegates were so skeptical. They had been spending arduous months debating and arguing while at the Constitutional Convention in Philadelphia on a very, very hot summer. And they were anxious to avoid anything that would prolong the convention. Many wanted to go home, so they took a pass and the Bill of Rights was overruled. Now, the Constitution was signed by 39 delegates on September 17th, 1787, at the Pennsylvania State House, now known as Independence Hall, where, as some of you may recognize, I happen to be talking to you from right now. Now, 3 delegates were present but refused to sign, in part because of the absence of a Bill of Rights. They were George Mason, Edmund Randolph, and Elbridge Gerry. Now, after the convention, the absence of the Bill of Rights emerged as a central part of the ratification debates. Now, anti-federalists who opposed ratification views its absence as a fatal flaw. Several states ratified the Constitution on the condition that a Bill of Rights would be promptly added, and many even offered suggestions as to what to include. Now, Pauline Maier, the author of Ratification, The People Debate the Constitution, noted of these proponents of the Bill of Rights, without their determined opposition, the first 10 amendments would not have become a part of the Constitution for later generations to transform into a powerful instrument for the defense of American freedom. So that is that story. Now, John, I know you always like to chime in when I'm done telling my history lessons, because I know you are a professional history buff, as is Adrian. So I'm going to let you jump in briefly.
No, I was going to say, Sergeant Major Myers, one of my favorites, if not my favorite class to teach to the youngsters, is the Constitutional Convention, where we actually discuss the Bill of Rights and its ratification. And after the Constitution was signed, Ben alluded to the fact that there were 2 strong camps, Federalists and Anti-Federalists.
Which we have a lesson for, don't forget.
We do.
Specific
we have that lesson as well.
Yep.
But the Anti-Federalists just did not believe that the Constitution guaranteed enough human rights. And without the copy of the Bill of Rights, there was no way that the Constitution was going to be ratified. And that's why the promise was made to add that Bill of Rights. And we don't have enough time. Maybe another lesson we'll get into the Federalist Papers and Hamilton and Madison, who wrote those. But that led to the Federalist Papers, etc. And that's a whole nother lesson. And I'll be quiet now because I could talk about it for days. So I see Ben's upset with me. I was rambling too much. So.
No. I was just curious, John. Am I a Federalist or an Anti-Federalist?
You're a Federalist.
I'm just making sure you knew that.
Yeah.
I sometimes have to quiz you. So, Sergeant Major, I will return over to you. I think you have another question for me, sir?
I do, yes, sir. How many original copies of the Bill of Rights exist, and do we know where they are today?
Well, that is a fantastic question, Sergeant Major. And as a man who is 315 years old, I'm going to have to really think hard if I can remember all this. However, I do remember some of it. And that is the following. Congress commissioned 14 official copies of the Bill of Rights, one for the federal government and one for the original 13 states or colonies at the time, which President George Washington dispatched to the states to consider each for ratification. Now, today, most of these original copies reside at the archives of their respective states. The federal government's copy is on display at the National Archive and Records Administration in Washington, D.C. I have asked John to take me on a field trip there. He has refused. Alongside the original handwritten copies of the U.S. Constitution and the Declaration of Independence. And if you're ever in Washington, D.C., visiting that is for free and a very fun thing to do. However, 4 states are missing their copies: Georgia, Maryland, New York, and Pennsylvania. I'm a little upset, as, of course, I was once the president of Pennsylvania, and I, of course, didn't want that to be lost. However, I can only do so much. 2 unidentified copies are known to have survived. One is in the Library of Congress, and the other is in the collection of the New York Public Library, an incredible library located in New York City, which is, of course, in one of our original colonies, New York. Now, North Carolina's copy of the Bill of Rights was missing for nearly 140 years after being stolen by a Union soldier during the Civil War. The National Constitution Center played a key role in the recovery of the document in 2003, including assisting in an FBI sting operation.
Oh, wow.
So if you look into the math, there is technically, I believe, 10. John, I know you discussed this with me earlier. I also noticed, John, that the state of Maryland is missing their copy. Can you speak for your whereabouts when that went missing?
No, just don't check my basement.
All right, I'm just checking.
No. So, yeah, it was funny, Johnny. We were talking about this earlier, and I actually learned something today. So it's always fun to learn new facts, and I find it absolutely amazing that North Carolina lost theirs during the Civil War, and then in 2003, that many hundreds of years later, they recover it.
I had no idea it was
Yeah,
so
I'm
recent.
going to go home and do a little research.
It's
I'm
like,
gonna-
what happened to it that whole time? Like,
Yeah, I know.
did somebody have it? Like, was it under a rock or something? Like, who knows? Seems crazy.
Yeah, no, that's a really neat story, Ben.
Nicolas Cage might have taken it.
Yeah.
Speaking of which, the National Archives, we've actually visited the National Archives, John, and it's an incredible experience being able to look at the copy of the Bill of Rights, the Constitution, Declaration of Independence. It's like you're getting a real glimpse into American history, and it's definitely an experience I'll remember forever.
Can I share that experience real quick?
Yeah, go ahead.
Because I got a good story for
Break time.
you, for Ben, and it's break time?
No, story time.
Oh, story
Oh.
time. All right. So I'm a huge history buff, and we went to the National Archives, and there in front of me sits the Constitution and the Bill of Rights, and I was. Of course, I didn't listen to the security guard that was giving us a lecture before you walk into that room.
Oh, I know where this is
So
going.
John Boy pulls out his cell phone and proceeds to take a picture, in which I immediately almost got handcuffed and walked out. So that was a bad citizen, Ben, because I wasn't listening, but I was just so excited. They did make me erase the photo. Yeah, but that was quite interesting. It didn't take them 2 seconds to come commandeer me and shuffle me out. But
And for all of the
Daddy.
viewers...
Go ahead, sorry. Go
I was
ahead.
saying, for all of the viewers that don't know or haven't visited the National Archives, it's kept dark because the light will degrade the documents. So that's
Yeah.
why John got in trouble. No flash
Hence,
photography.
no flashes. So next time I'm just gonna leave my cell phone in the car.
Yellow light is not kind to old ink.
Yeah, no doubt. So anyway, I do apologize as being an upstanding citizen, and I know you taught this lesson today. Good citizen. We all make mistakes, and I learned from that mistake, and I do apologize.
John, if you'd like, I know you have a co-host who's with you sometimes named Mark, and he would tell you that there's a similar story. If you try to take a picture inside the Sistine Chapel, I would not recommend doing that either. They don't allow photography there either. He did not know the same as you. It was just like, wow, look at this incredible painted
Yeah.
ceiling, and was told quite quickly that that's a big no-no. So,
Yeah.
but that's all right. As we are good citizens, John, we recognized our mistakes and made the amends for it, of course.
Oh,
And I
well-
do know that you, of course, would just be happy to see the Bill of Rights and the Constitution. And we're overly excited, although I would like to point out once again that I have asked for several things now. I want my hardened glass harmonica. You haven't bought me that. I've asked for a trip to D.C. I haven't received that. And I've also heard so much of this Disney World that the kids keep talking about, and you haven't taken me there. I'm just pointing those things out.
We're working on it. We're on a shoestring budget here, Ben.
Do you remember?
Well, I've been living here in Independence Hall now for 2.5 years.
Yeah, but
in
you
the
were
same,
Ben.
in the
let's-
same suit.
Ben, let's be real here. You were one of the most wealthiest men of your day, though.
I did leave $1 million to the city of Boston and the city of Philadelphia. And in 1990, both of those cities cashed that money in. And as we've discussed before, Philadelphia built the museum in my honor, which is a gorgeous, gorgeous place. And I highly recommend you visit it. And Boston built a school which had many, many firsts, including the very first fax was sent from the Ben Franklin Institute in Boston.
Well, I have a brilliant idea, Ben. Why don't
Yes,
you
sir.
personally, being the incredible founding father that you are, why don't you personally correspond with the mayors of both Philadelphia and Boston and see if they would give the Step Up America Foundation, Inc. a grant and then I might be able to skedaddle you off to Disney World.
There's an
and
idea.
Maybe buy you some new duds.
All right, well, I'll tell you what, you're going to have to get me, travel to Philadelphia. Oh, actually, I'm in Philadelphia now.
Yeah.
When I'm done with this, I'm just going to stroll down to City Hall, knock on the door, and say, this is Benjamin Franklin, and I demand a meeting. Now, they'll probably be a bit horrified, John, as I'm 315 years old, and they thought I passed away in 1790, but I'm still here, everybody, and I'll be teaching. So, also, as you know, Philadelphia is famous for Rocky Balboa. Just wanted to point that out.
Yeah.
All right,
Wait,
so I
what?
think now is a perfect time for our sponsors. What do you think?
Yeah, let's take a sponsor break, and when we get back, Sergeant Major Myers, why don't we talk a little bit about the program and how our educators can get involved, and even better, talk about a new partner that Ben's going to have.
We believe at New Day USA, we have a noble purpose. We want to be known as America's mortgage company for veterans and active duty service people. Some of them are giving their lives right now today for the freedoms that we have here in this country. So for us at New Day, to help those people at this point in time, it's a labor of love, it's a noble service, and that's what we're all about.
A great organization, and for all of our veterans out there and active duty members, if you're looking to buy a new home or refi, they're the people to go to. I'm in the process of speaking with them now. Incredible organization. And of course, our American Dream Team, I spoke with Colin Garrett yesterday. He's going to be racing this weekend, so that's pretty cool. So good luck to Colin Garrett and our American Dream Team. But, Johnny, while we were on break, Adrian reminded me of another little story. Apparently, he had a slight run-in with the Capitol Police on that trip to D.C.
I did. I can't believe you don't remember. So, when we were doing the Capitol tour, I got through, through Capitol Security first, and then it was you and the rest of the people that we were with. For whatever reason, I honestly don't remember what possessed me to do this. I took a picture of you guys going through security, and then I had a police officer come towards me saying, "No, sir, you can't take a picture of the screening process. Delete that photo." And thank God the camera wasn't confiscated.
Okay, but Adrian, now what should you do after you just taught that wonderful lesson on good citizenship, my friend?
What you should do is not take a picture of Capitol screenings.
And what else?
And listen to authorities.
And what else?
Admit your mistake.
Admit your mistakes, absolutely.
Okay, so I want to hear you say that.
I admit that I made a mistake taking a photo of Capitol security screenings.
All right, that's what I was looking for. But
I'm surprised that that's a no-no.
It's a major no-no.
It makes sense. It makes perfect sense.
You're trying to film.
Yeah.
Not that I would know, because in my day we didn't have metal detectors. And John, I heard you say they're going to be racing something. What, they're going to race horses? I don't know what else they could possibly be racing. But anyway, I think Noah, if it would be because it poses a security threat, like you're trying to see what they do for security.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, so we were wrong, we were bad, we got reprimanded, and
But now we know.
And just for all you teachers and students watching, I promise you, John and Adrian are not scofflaws while in the classroom.
No,
they are
not
professional history educators and entertainers.
Yeah, so Ben, I'm going to let Sergeant Major Myers share with you your soon-to-be partner in crime, so to speak, in the classroom.
Excellent.
Yes, Ben, we're going to be introducing the Step Up America Foundation. We'll be, of course, introducing an individual who came a few years after your passing, and that would be the illustrious Frederick Douglass. You may have heard of him or not, but he was a young man who came up out of slavery, and as the Horatio Alger story that was created after his life, pulled himself up from his bootstraps and made a miraculous success of himself, as well as enlighten the country about the ills of slavery.
Yeah.
Well, I'll tell you something, Sergeant Major. Since coming back, I have been told of all of these incredible Americans. Now, as I told you, I was originally from Boston. In Boston, as you may or may not know, has a very large Irish population. The Irish first came to the colonies through the city of Boston and the city of New York and the city of Philadelphia. So while I was speaking with some of my Irish friends since coming back, they told me of a man who traveled to Dublin in 1845. They said his name was Frederick Douglass, and he arrived there during the Great Potato Famine. They said he was a man of incredible intelligence, and he had spent his career so far giving such counsel to presidents and other men of importance. But what they told me most about him, and that I am looking forward to seeing, is that he was an incredible orator, and he could hold a crowd like none other. And I could not be more excited to know that you folks at the Step Up America program are going to be bringing such an incredible scholar, an incredible speaker, and an incredible American to join me in teaching these young students. I couldn't be more excited, but you know who should be really excited is the students, because they're going to have yet another incredible member of the United States of America's founding and growth and all of those things joining us. Wow, Sergeant Major, that is impressive. Thank you for telling me that.
Cool.
Yeah, and for everybody out there listening, if you've been a part of the Franklin Project and you've seen Ben in action, just to give you a heads up, it looks like Frederick Douglass, we've already signed the contract. He's good to go. He just needs to tighten up a few things, and looks like he's going to be online about mid-April. So we're looking forward to that, bringing him alongside you, Ben. It's going to be super cool. Two of the finest Americans this country has ever witnessed. And like you said, it's going to be a blessing for the students.
Yes, John, and Frederick and I will actually be meeting before we sign any contracts. I know you've told Frederick a lot of things, and I've told him that they may promise you the world, but I'll make sure he gets them, because a man of his stature will not be shortchanged by you, Mr. McIntosh. He's going to get everything he wants to join our team here. He would be a first-round draft pick if this was in your baseball terminology.
I gotcha. So, Adrian, why don't you share with our listeners out there, and this goes for homeschoolers too. Let's be honest, because during this pandemic, a lot of people are doing homeschooling or might have switched to that avenue. Ben Franklin is not, and the Franklin Project is not just for public schools. It's for homeschools. It's for
private schools, youth organizations,
you name it.
Adult organizations.
If you want to have Ben Franklin come visit you, reach out to us. How do they get in touch with us?
It is a super easy process, John. All anybody has to do is visit our website, which is stepupamericaprogram.org, or they can always email us directly. Our email is info@stepupamericaprogram.org.
Awesome. So, yeah, Ben, we're excited, man, and I'm glad you're enthused about Frederick Douglass, and we'll see who else we can bring on after Frederick. But let's.
Well, I, for one, cannot wait.
Yeah, let's welcome Frederick Douglass to the team first, and we'll get him rolling, get him in front of 15,000 plus students like you've seen, Ben, and then we'll consider bringing somebody else on. But
I think that Frederick is going to enjoy it. I look forward to being in front of a classroom full of students. I mean, can you imagine how lucky you could be speaking with Ben Franklin and Frederick Douglass? But, John, I have another story for you.
Oh, boy.
As you've left me up here in Independence Hall, I've been working on some new inventions, and I've come up with one. It's based on the horse carriage, but you put an engine that I've developed into the front of it. It has a long, skinny pedal on the right and 4 doors. And when I hit the pedal, it drives around. But instead of having horses pull it, it's using gas in the engine. And I call it the wheelie bopper.
All
right, let me know what you guys think.
All right, no, I think that's a brilliant idea, Ben. Just don't leave Independence Hall. Your heart will be broken.
All right, well, that's my next one. That's my next one.
All right, keep working on it, buddy.
All right, thank you.
All right, well, I think that's about the end of our show. So, again, we want to thank, as always, the team here, Noah, Adrian. Thank you guys for all you do. Sergeant Major Myers, it's always a blessing to have you on every Thursday. You always bring so much wisdom, and you're quite the orator yourself, my friend.
Whoa.
And a man of many words too. So, no, that's funny. And of course, the one and only Mr. Benjamin Franklin. Thank you for your time, sir. I know you're a busy man working on the buggy bopper or whatever you got going on.
It's called the wheelie bopper, and I must say, John, I do like this format. That other host you have is very loud, irritating. He hogs up the microphone. So I think we just do it like this from now on.
So I've been told
much more peaceful.
Yeah, the ratings are going through the roof right now. So
without him and with Ben Franklin, it's much better. And plus, I feel that Ben Franklin is far better looking than he is. But that's just my opinion. I of course love all. I am kind to all of my citizens, as Adrian and I just taught this afternoon. So everybody remember www.stepupamericaprogram.org, and within about a month, we're working on it, by the way, because to do the technical aspects of Frederick Douglass is taking a little bit more longer than we want to. And unfortunately, myself, not knowing anything of technology, and John almost being the same, we like to have people do things and give them timelines that they exactly may not be on the same board with, because we don't know what we're doing in that aspect. So we promise you, Frederick will be coming soon with Ben. We have 16 amazing lessons, and we will absolutely do any lesson you guys would like us to do, as long as it's based on U.S. history or something similar. So I have talked long enough. It has been a great day today. Sergeant Major, it was an incredible pleasure to meet you. When I see George Washington, I will let him know how impressed I am by yet another member of his incredible army. So, gentlemen, thank you all once again. Should I say goodbye, John, or would you like to any final words?
Nope. Sign us off, man.
All right, everybody, remember my own words. Be kind to others, and you're being best to yourself. Thank you so much, and we hope to see you all soon. Bye-bye.
See you next week, Sergeant
See
Major.
you, everybody.
Bye.